2 months ago, a Starship booster fell into the Gulf of Mexico instead of flying home. Now SpaceX is about to try again with the exact same flight plan. Not a bigger mission, not a bolder one. The same one, because sometimes the fastest way forward in rocketry isn't to leap ahead, it's to prove you can do the last thing right, twice. Flight 13 doesn't exist in isolation. It exists because of what happened on Flight 12, the debut of Starship's version 3 or Block 3 hardware. Bigger tanks, new Raptor 3 engines, a taller, more powerful rocket than anything that had flown before. On paper, it should have been the smoothest flight yet. And in some ways it was. Ship 39, the upper stage, proved the new V3 airframe could survive ascent and reach space. But Super Heavy Booster 19 couldn't complete its boost back burn. Instead of reversing course and flying back to the tower for a catch, it came down hard in the Gulf. SpaceX called it a hard splashdown. The FAA called it something else, a mishap. Under federal aviation regulations, that word triggers a formal investigation, and until it's closed, Starship doesn't fly again. So here's the question. Nobody outside Starbase could answer with certainty. How do you recover from a very public failure on a very new rocket under a government investigation in under 10 weeks? The answer starts with two vehicles, Super Heavy Booster 20 and Starship 40. Both are new-build Block 3 hardware, not repaired veterans, but fresh machines built to fly the mission Booster 19 couldn't finish. Booster 20's build alone tells you how fast this program moves. Stacking began in early February 2026 and wrapped in under 3 months. By early June, it rolled out to the test site for cryogenic proving. First an ambient pressure test, then a full cryogenic load with liquid oxygen and liquid nitrogen standing in for methane, held for hours at a time, so engineers could watch how the valves and seals behaved under sustained cooling. One of those tests pushed further than any super heavy test before it, a full propellant load held in the tanks for roughly 3 hours, well beyond the standard hold time, deliberately over-testing the vehicle before trusting it with 33 Raptor engines. Ship 40 followed its own gauntlet. Nose cone heat shield tiles installed back in November. Fully stacked inside Mega Bay 2 by March. 2 rounds of cryogenic proof testing in early May. Then, in the final stretch, engine tests. First, a single Raptor 3 firing alone for 15 seconds. Then, 6 days later, all 6 engines at once at full thrust for a full 60 seconds. That second test wasn't just a checkbox, it was designed to mimic the exact failure Flight 12 needs to fix. Engineers held propellant in the tanks without topping it off, letting it warm and boil the way it would after a real ascent to space, then fired an engine to simulate the in-space relight ship will need to perform for real, weeks from now, hundreds of kilometers above the Indian Ocean. Every one of these tests is a rehearsal for a single moment on launch day that failed the last time. Here's the part that surprises people. After a failure like Booster 19's, the instinct is to assume the next flight goes bigger. Full orbit, a longer mission. Something to prove the setback didn't slow things down. SpaceX is doing the opposite. President and COO Gwynne Shotwell confirmed it directly. Flight 13 will repeat the same suborbital profile as Flight 12. Same rough trajectory, same splashdown zones, same core objectives. No catch attempt for the booster. Booster 20 is expected to come down in the Gulf under control, not into the tower's mechanical arms. Why repeat a flight instead of escalating? Because ship's side of Flight 12 already worked. The in-space Raptor relight happened. Shotwell said as much herself. They feel comfortable with what ship can do. What still needs to be proven is the booster's boost back burn, the exact maneuver that failed last time. So Flight 13 isolates that one variable and tests it again, on new hardware, before SpaceX lets itself dream about Flight 14's orbital attempt. That's not caution for its own sake. It's how you debug a rocket the size of a 40-story building, one variable at a time, even when the world is watching and expecting a bigger show. Zoom out, and Flight 13 is a single link in a much longer chain. NASA has contracted Starship to serve as the lunar lander for Artemis astronauts, but getting there requires something no rocket has ever done at this scale: refueling in orbit more than a dozen times, to give a single Starship enough propellant to reach the moon and land. Every one of those refueling flights depends on a Starship booster that can fly back to the pad reliably, again and again, the way Falcon 9's boosters do today. Right now, that reliability doesn't exist yet for Super Heavy. Booster 19 splashdown is proof of that, which means Flight 13 isn't really about one test flight. It's about closing the gap between Starship can reach space and Starship can be reused fast enough and safely enough to build a refueling depot in orbit. Shotwell's own roadmap makes the stakes explicit. A successful Flight 13, then an attempted orbital injection on Flight 14, then, if that goes well, a possible Flight 15 launching from a second pad at Kennedy Space Center's historic LC-39A. 3 flights, each one unlocking the next, all resting on whether Booster 20 can do this July what Booster 19 couldn't do in May. There's also a quieter pressure running underneath all of this: time. SpaceX cleared its FAA mishap investigation fast enough to keep the July launch window alive. But that window keeps sliding. As of early July, Flight 13 doesn't have an official confirmed date. Estimates range from late July into early August, depending on how final static fires and stacking go. That matters beyond Starbase. Every slipped Starship flight pushes against NASA's Artemis timeline, against SpaceX's own commercial launch manifest, and against a simple public expectation that's grown around this program, that Starship is supposed to fail fast and iterate faster. Flight 13 is the test of whether that philosophy still holds when the failure is public, the fix is specific, and the world is timing the turnaround. Flight 13 won't be the flashiest Starship launch. It won't go to orbit. It won't attempt a tower catch. By design, it's the least ambitious flight SpaceX could have chosen to fly next, and that might be exactly why it matters. Real progress in rocketry rarely looks like a bigger leap. Sometimes it looks like doing the same hard thing again, more carefully, until it stops being hard at all. Follow Overlooked Space. We'll be covering Flight 13's static fires, stacking, and launch attempt as they happen.